It's ecstatic, orgasmic bliss that is happening, and I absolutely know this, that it is happening all the time, and it's the essence of creation.
You are listening to Turn Your Soul On Radio. I am your host and visionary doctor, Dr. Brandy Victory, and my mission is to assist high-achieving women in closing the gap between feeling unfulfilled to living a life on fire. It is time, ladies, to champion our own lives and turn ourselves on. This is Living Victoriously, ladies. This is how you turn your soul on.
Hey, I hope this finds you just feeling completely filled up with the juice of creation, the juice of magnificence, the juice of the vibration of love and abundance and joy and bliss that we all desire to have and that we all have access to. I recently had this vision of God, of consciousness, of source, of creation, of the beginning. And I want to share that with you for just a few minutes here. This is kind of off the cuff just because I'm like burning up right now with this with this experience that I had and the realization that I had of how connected we really are to source creation consciousness and how our thoughts are our point of manifestation, our point of creation. This is thoughts create. And we're going to go into that a little bit. But first, I just want to share with you something I'm so excited about. Oh my gosh, I got invited. I'm so excited. I got invited to be in a case study with this company called Trucy. It's a hydrogen water case study. So you all know, if you've been following this for any time at all, you all know that I am all about optimizing my life. I'm doing everything I can. I just want to like, what's the next thing I can do to enhance my well-being? What's the next thing I can do to turn myself on? What's the next thing I can do to ignite myself on the inside so that my life is phenomenal from the inside out, backwards and forwards, fronts and back, up and down, all the way around until the day I die. So this is what we call biohacking. And actually in the process, I just put it out on Instagram. I am the only woman speaking of biohacking. This is a very male-dominated industry, and I'm the only woman speaking to it. And I'm so excited to be that. And I'm also curious, is there another term or another word that would be more for you? Like, yeah, that's what I want. I mean, biohacking is very masculine. Happy to use the word, probably will for a little while, but I'm just doing a little research with my friends out there. If there's a better term and you can share that with me that you think would be appropriate for eliciting the understanding of doing things to optimize our well-being and our lives, I'll trade that term out, biohacking. But I'll use biohacking for now. But regardless, hydrogen water is about biohacking my body. This actually reduces oxidative stress and free radicals and inflammation, which slows down the aging process. It's also the studies are kind of there's not a lot of studies yet on it. That's why I'm in the case study, because they're working on that. But the studies are starting to show that there's a possibility that they reduce plaquing in the brain for things like Alzheimer's and that kind of stuff. So hydrogen is the smallest molecule, so it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it has the ability to affect all cells in all tissues in all organs. So I'm really excited to be a part of this study. I applied for my machine, and it should be here in 6 weeks. So they did send me a bottle of tablets to get me started, which is really cool because it makes it easy to travel. So I just drop 2 of these tablets in a little glass of water and wait till they dissolve, and it gets real fizzy because the hydrogen in the water, and then you drink it and you feel good. So I've just started this, and I can't put my finger on any changes yet. Of course, it's very early and I haven't had consistency yet, but I will keep you informed. But if you're interested in just looking into this a little bit more for yourself, just head over to Trucy, Trussii, or I'm sorry, let me respell that, Trussii, trucy.com. And you can actually even use my affiliate code Dr. Brandy, DRBRANDY, and get a discount off a bottle of these tablets that I'm telling you about. And you can try it out for yourself. I'm excited. I know Roger's been taking the tablets as well, and he's finding he does Wim Hof breath work, and his breath holds are getting up past the 2.5 minute mark. Like, he's literally holding his breath for 2.5 minutes, which is brand new for him since starting this hydrogen water therapy. So we'll keep you informed how it goes. But again, if you would like some tablets, go check them out yourself. And then if you do, let me know how it's going for you, please, because I want to get any feedback I possibly can on this stuff. All right. So I'm just kind of in this blissed out state. And the reason why is because I had, like I was telling you before, I had this vision, and it was in this moment of meditation where I saw the essence of, and I'm going to say God, because there's no word for it, and it's the only closest description. I mean, we could call it spirit, creation with a capital C, all of those things, but no word can actually describe what I saw. No word. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's ecstatic, orgasmic bliss that is happening. And I absolutely know this, that it is happening all the time. And it's the essence of creation. It is this magnificent gold, yellow, bright, white movement, kind of like lava that is everywhere all the time, moving through us and creating through us. And we are a manifestation of that point of creation. All things are. Every single person, every single thing is a manifestation of this magnificent creative process that emanates everywhere all the time. And so all the things that we create are also an expression and extension of this creative energy. You know, I as I'm looking at this, I was like, wow, well, so there's that, and then there's this. And so what's the point of this when there's that? And it came to me that if there was just this ecstatic, orgasmic bliss being experienced by one, it has no real value. Not to share it is to not have it. It might as well not even be. This is the purpose of creation. This is the purpose of polarity. This is the purpose of experiencing oneness in an orgasmic state. So we can tap into that and remember that we are all a part of this same thing. We're not separate from it. We are it, and it is us. And when we have relationship, when there's two or more that can experience this at once, then it has so much meaning. Just imagine if you had the ability right now, you could just rub your hands together and get them warm and manifest a beautiful crystal in your hand that no one's ever seen before. This beautiful crystal, it's so sparkly and all different colors, iridescent, and no one's ever seen it before. How would that feel? How would it feel to have it all to yourself and not share it with anyone? Like, you would not do that. You would be like, oh my God, look at this beautiful crystal I just manifested right out of thin air. Oh my gosh, isn't it so gorgeous? Because you would want to share it with another being, and you would want them to have the same happiness move through them that this crystal brings you. And then this is the purpose. This is it. And so when we can be in a deeper understanding of the truth of the vibration of creation that happens in every single cell of our body, and every single part of our being beyond our body, and in every single being of every other single person, and every being on this planet, and all the trees and the rocks and the grass and everything. It is an ecstatic place to be. And wow, what a thing to really come to realizing. What a thing to even just allow ourselves to open to the possibility of its existence, its with a capital I. Opening ourselves to the possibility that we are that. Opening ourselves to the possibility that we have the ability to create from the infinite, from the orgasmic bliss that is creation. As I'm looking at this, I can see myself going back and forth between the two. Like I've had this experience. It was very real for me. I also have the experience of living in my three-dimensional polar life here, and I've kind of been going back and forth, right? Because my dream would be to hold on to, in every single moment, this depth of realization and let it emanate through every single thing that I do, that I think, that I say, that I express, like every single thing, having that greatness be what facilitate all things I manifest in this world. That is where I want to live. And sometimes when I'm tired, when I'm, I started my period, I'm like, wah! And I'm like, wow, how is it that I'm in wah right now? And there's this over here. And so my higher self observer is watching both me flip-flop between these two things. I'm like, oh, well, there's this over here. And when I see it as this over here, it is, from my perspective, that's me putting separation between what I think is me and what is truly me, because this is me. This over here is me. I just forgot, right? And we forget. And this is why I'm sharing this with you, because sometimes maybe you forget. If you don't, show me how to turn that shit on forever, okay? That is what I want to know. All right. And so where I go is I step back and I go, okay, well, what is it that I can do to continue to weave these two together more deeply in my consciousness and my psyche? And the first place that arises is the power of our thoughts. So yeah, is it great that I'm back here, or up here, I should say, looking at myself flip-flopping between the two and going wah, and then questioning the wah, because there's no place for wah when you absolutely know the truth of creative bliss, the truth of God consciousness, and the absolute truth of the radiance that moves through all living beings, including yourself and mine. And so when if we can pay attention to our thoughts and understand that our thoughts are energy set in motion, and that our thoughts create, and we can begin to look at the power of how we think in relationship to the depth of creation from a place of bliss. And so your life is your stage. And you get to create it how you want. And we're all responsible for our own creation. And therefore, we're also responsible for our thoughts. All right? And yesterday I was working, and I'm starting to realize and step out of doing anything that doesn't completely serve my soul. Like, that's always my goal, is I only want to do things that serve my soul. And I'm realizing that some of the patients and the doctors that I work for are not completely serving my soul. So I'm like, well, okay, so I think it's time for me to start stepping out. So I'm pulling out slowly from that experience, which I'm so excited to be doing, but I still have a little bit more learning to do. So I was there yesterday, and this is just straight chiropractic. So I love chiropractic, and it's just not serving the fullness of my soul, right? And what happens in that practice, and probably a lot of other practices, especially medical practices, I would imagine, is that people come in and they say, my back pain, or my fibromyalgia, or my headaches keep coming back, or my chronic fatigue is really getting me down, or my arm is just trash. Like, I hear these kinds of stories like 50 times a day, literally 50 times a day, because 99.9% of the people that come in there come in because they're in pain and they want you to fix it. And I just started hearing my, and I just started freaking out a little bit inside. I was like, okay. And in that place was no place for me to have this conversation. This is why I'm having it with you, because this is the place for me to have this conversation, and I know you appreciate it. But I want you to just step back for a minute and check out your conversations and your conversations with yourself. Because if you're owning your pain, or owning your headaches, or owning your fibromyalgia, or owning your cancer, or owning your whatever, then you're claiming it to be true for yourself, and that's a creation. And that creation, I imagine, is not creating ecstatic bliss. That creation is not in alignment with the orgasmic bliss that creation really is. So, on some level, it must be serving you, and it's so, so vital to step back and go, okay, I am claiming this to be mine. Why is that? My headaches. Okay. Well, what if you could say the headaches, or the fibromyalgia, or the chronic fatigue, and have it be don't personalize it to be yourself. What difference would that make in your healing process? Because goodness knows, if you're saying my headaches, that's like, I don't know, my bracelet, my watch, my baby. It's part of you. You've claimed it. You've personalized it. It's something that you own, and you don't want anybody to take away anything you own. So look at how you're talking to yourself and the conversations that you're having about your life and your body. You know, the lady who said, my arm is trash, I flash back to a time when I had, and I talked a little bit about this in the last episode actually, but I flashed back to a time where I had so much self-hatred for my body. It just was a constant onslaught of self-deprivation about my body that was similar. My arm is trash. Well, guess what? If she wants to keep holding on to that story and not get well, she might as well keep saying that. But she's not going to very easily get to that place of wellness, because she believes that her arm is trash, and so that's what she's going to get. So the only way for her, in my opinion, to get past that arm is trash experience is to begin to believe in the truth of her ability to heal, the truth in her ability to create something beyond what she's experiencing now, the truth in her being connected to that deep essence of creation that is infinite in its power to create. This is who we are. This is who everyone is. So then the question arises, if my thoughts have that much power and affect my physiology and affect my life, how do my thoughts affect the rest of life? How do my thoughts affect others? Now, one thing that I'm big on is keeping my thoughts. Like, I set my stage in the mornings with my meditation. I set my stage when before my practice, I sit down and I get clear about who am I seeing today? Is there anything I need to know to help them move forward? And call in my guides and Jesus happens to work with me in my office because he's the greatest healer that I aspire to be, and asked for their help and their guidance so that my patients can reach a level of wellness they have not experienced. And so I sit down and set the stage for it, because I absolutely know that if I come in and I'm all messed up because my cat's been sick, and my mom called and gave me a hard time, and I found out I had to pay more taxes than I thought I was going to pay, and blah, 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 and then go and touch my patients, I absolutely know that my vibrational frequency affects their vibrational frequency. I absolutely know that. And I can have the intention to help them heal, but if I'm not 100% or as much as I possibly can be in the vibration of yes for that person, then they don't get well as fast. I see it happen. I've seen it happen over the years. I've been at this for a very long time, and I can tell that when I am in a better place within myself, that my patients get well faster. And so it's just one example of how our thoughts affect other people. So I'm sharing this with you, but also know that with this knowledge comes responsibility. With this knowledge, you begin to understand that everything you think about matters, not just to you. It matters to your family, it matters to your community, and it matters to the world. All right? And so with that responsibility, we have to step back and consider all the things that we think. We have to consider the impact that we desire to have on our family and our friends and our community and the world, and figure out how we're going to make that happen. Figure out how we're going to let go of the old paradigm, the old story, the old wah. Stop doing the things that don't serve you and cause you to bring your vibration down. Set your intention for your day and for your people, and step into that with as much yesness as you can muster. One example that comes to mind of how we can limit others is I had this man and wife come in, and I was treating the wife, and the man comes over and he says, "Hey, honey, did you tell her about your shoulder pain?" And she just looked at me, and I went, do you mean here or here? Because we adjusted her upper trap area, which I think is what she was talking about, but it could have been her actual shoulder joint. And she pointed to her upper trap area. And as she's doing that, the man says, "She forgets all the time." And I was just like, what? Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I just saw in that moment how his words limited her, because now he has said that, even though he was probably thinking it, and maybe she does forget, but is him holding that in consciousness that she forgets, is that helping her or harming her? Is that causing her to continue to forget, or is that helping her create a new reality for herself? So we all have the ability to create a new reality. All right. And if you tend to be forgetful, maybe you need to detox. Maybe you're missing some micronutrients. Maybe you need to stop playing on social media and stop playing games on your phone and read more. Maybe you need to get off media and hearing about all the people who are losing their minds and they can't remember anything, and holding on to that story for yourself because you have some underlying false belief that this is the way it is when you age. All right. There's so much to it. But if we're the man saying things like "she always forgets," or "I'm never good enough," or "she can never do it right," or whatever, then we're creating those realities for other people. And when we create realities for other people, then we have karma on that. So if we create a negative reality for someone, when you have the knowledge, so now you have the knowledge that your thoughts create and what you say matters to other people. And if you have that knowledge and you continue to say slandering things to other people, or bring people down, or to own belief systems about people that may or may not be true, but creating that reality for them regardless, then you hold responsibility for creating an experience in their world. And that's karma. You're creating your own karma. So I'm just telling you that because we need to be mindful about what we put out. All the vibration that we experience, the vibrations that we put out into the world matter. And the great thing is that you have the ability to create greatness in others. You have the ability to bring more light to this world, to your family, to your children, to the planet, to the school system, to the churches that you go to your workplace. And if you're unable to do that, it might be an indication that you need to get out of there. It's not a place where you can affect change. I learned long ago that I couldn't really affect change in the structure of the office that I work in, but I did see that I could affect change in so many people because it's a very busy practice. And so every time someone gets a chiropractic adjustment, just even a straight traditional chiropractic adjustment, every single time somebody gets a chiropractic adjustment, they're aligning themselves to something greater, whether they know it or not. Because when we're in our bodies, our bodies being out of alignment is just an expression of our consciousness being out of alignment. Everything is consciousness before it is matter. And so I know that when I'm treating 50 patients a day, that I've just helped 50 people align to their highest, align to something greater, to step into something better in their life. Yeah, their back pain feels better, but it is way more than that. And I don't have to share that with every single person that comes in because not everybody is going to understand that conversation, nor do they want to hear it, nor do they want to believe it because it kind of can rub up against some other belief system. So, it doesn't really matter. I'm not there to shove this stuff down people's throat. I'm just there to help more people get well and to bring more light to the planet. So, now I'm starting to see that, yes, that is good. And there's something more for me. So I'm starting to step out of that and happy to do so. But while I'm there, I want to bring my best. While I'm there, I want to bring through in an even more profound way this ecstatic, orgasmic, blissful, creative process, and remember that this is emanating through me, through you, through everyone all the time, and that we have the ability to be that without the storyline of I'm not good enough, my chronic fatigue, my lower vibrational state, whatever you want to call it, right? So I'm going to leave you with that. I'm just going to ride this wave for a little bit longer. So I'm probably going to be talking about this more and more because it's something I don't want to lose touch with. And I would really love if you are feeling this, if you would, first of all, share this episode with a friend of yours, like spread this out, okay? Because the more people that hear it, the more people begin to understand it. Even if it doesn't make sense yet, on some level, you're receiving it if you're still here with me. And so it would be great to have more people receive this word. And it would be really great if you would get on my Facebook page and join into that. And then let me know, like, what your thoughts are around this. Because I know I'm not alone here. I know there's a lot of you out there that have been tapped into this frequency, and I would love to have that conversation with you. So to that, love you all. May you all know the truth of your essence, and the vibrations that you bring to this world are valuable. All right. Have a great day and do whatever it takes to turn your soul on. Thank you for tuning in to another awesome episode of Turn Your Soul On Radio. If you're enjoying the show and it's making a difference in your life, I'd be super grateful if you'd head on over to iTunes and leave a heartfelt review, which tremendously helps the growth of the show. Feel free to leave any suggestions or questions in your review, or you can shoot us an email at admin@drbrandyvictory.com. I also would like to invite you to become a deeper part of the Turn Your Soul On Radio community, which you can do by joining our private Facebook group, Turn Your Soul On. I'll leave a link in the show notes for you. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'll talk to you next time. Have a fantastic day.
This podcast is for information purposes only. Dr. Brandy Victory is not a medical doctor, and the views and statements expressed on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Dr. Brandy Victory and the producers, disclaim responsibility from any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.